The following is a live special presentation of Retro Sports Network, home of the champions of the past, present, and or future. Good evening, my name is Ron Chuck, and welcome to the program for this 14th day of September 2022. The National League Championship Series is about to get underway. And oh my goodness, what a pitching matchup. This is the stuff that makes you dream about baseball at night, okay? Fernando Valenzuela will go for the Los Angeles Dodgers. John Tudor is going to go for the St. Louis Cardinals. Combined, they won 51 games. If you wonder why people are nostalgic for pitching from 35 to 80,000 years ago, that's it. You've got the Cy Young Award winner and John Tudor and Fernando, who's all that in a bag of chips himself. Now, how do these two teams get here? This is the real-life NLCS. No, we are not doing as played for this. Vince Coleman and the Tarp Machine will not have a chance meeting when we go to St. Louis next week. The Dodgers won the division by 19.5 games over the Houston Astros. St. Louis won the division by over 10 games over Montreal, one of the surprise teams in baseball in 1985, at least in this replay. They finished in second. The Mets finished third. So what should we expect in this series? Pitching. 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 And oh, did I mention pitching? Now, the Dodgers have 5 starters that started more than 20 games in 1985 in the replay. None of them have an ERA above 3. The Cardinals have a pretty high, powerful pitching thing themselves, but what they can do is run. How much can they run? Think Big 8 football wishbone run. Yep, if they're going to win this series, they got to manufacture runs. You can't count on Ozzie Smith and Jack Clark homering in a key time. And so that's the setup. It's the Dodgers and the Cardinals on a Chamber of Commerce day or an evening in Los Angeles. It's twilight. It's 5:01 p.m. Shall we do this? Let's light this candle, shall we? As Retro Sports Network presents the 1985 National League Championship Series. Tonight, live from Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles, California, it is the St. Louis Cardinals and the Los Angeles Dodgers. And tonight's game is brought to you by DigitalDice.com, the best darn podcast on the web for your sports simulation and replay needs. Find us today on Spotify, Spreaker, iTunes, or wherever else fine podcasts are listed. And so as Fernando takes his warm-up tosses, he is 25 years old. He features the screwball at 9, and when he does go with a fastball, it goes at 90. He is a ground ball pitcher. Against the Cardinals, he made 2 starts. He lost one. There's a surprise. 15 innings, 12 hits, 3 runs. Yep, Larry King and Mary Hart are in their seats. Mary's trying to keep Larry awake. 3 runs, all earned, 9 walks, 9 strikeouts. But again, the Cardinals beat him in their lone decision. Overall, his last start came against the Reds on the 4th, a 4-1 win. He threw 277 2/3 innings, did Fernando. 203 hits, 78 runs, 62 earned. The Achilles heel for the Dodgers is going to be their defense for sure. He allowed 8 homers. He walked 117 and struck out 240. He finished the year 23-9. And again, if it wasn't for who he was facing, he would be the Cy Young Award winner. His earned run average was 2.04. 1. He threw a shutout against the Mets on September 6th. He threw a one-hitter against the Cubs on July 25th. But all that isn't worth the paper it's printed on unless it happens right here. And so let's show you the Cardinal lineup. This will be the lineup he'll face. Vince Coleman leads off in left field. The Cardinals, by the way, have 5 switch hitters. Willie McGee will bat second and play center field. Tommy Herr is at second. He'll bat third. Jack Clark going to play every game at first base. He won't be injured in the NLCS. Terry Pendleton is at third. He'll bat fifth. The Wizard, Ozzie Smith, will go at sixth at short. He'll bat further down the lineup against right-handed pitchers. Tito Landrum, one of the other platoons for St. Louis, is in right field. He'll bat seventh. Tom Nieto behind the plate, the weaker of the two catchers, but he's a righty against a lefty. He'll bat eighth behind the plate. And John Tudor, who I forgot to highlight, is on the mound. He is a 28-game winner. Defensively for the Dodgers. Again, they are not great defensively, but they can hit, and by God, they can pitch. Pedro Guerrero is a 4 and a 5 in left. Sandy Maldonado, with the lefty Tudor on the mound, gets a start in center. He's a 3 and a 4. Kenny Landreau will get the start against right-handed pitching. Mike Marshall is a 3 and an 8 in right. Del Madlock, who I need a picture of with the Dodgers, is a 4 at third. He came over in a late-season deal with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Mariano Duncan is a 5 at short. Steve Sachs, a 5 at second. Greg Brock, a 6 at first. Mike Scioscia, a 7 and a 6 behind the plate. And Fernando was a 7 on the mound with a 1,000 fielding percentage. Madlock and Brock are playing in. Coleman is ready. Valenzuela is ready. Here's a ground ball to Fernando over to Brock. 1 out. Pitcher's duel favors the Dodgers. I didn't think so. Be curious to see what the opponent batting average is. Come on. Well, no, again, Brad, all 5 Dodgers starters had earned run averages under 3. Yes. Here's McGee. He won the National League batting title. We won't show you everyone's real-life replay numbers. He hit .358, 12 homers, and 108 RBI. By the way, Doris Day sang the national anthem before Game 1. We forgot to do the ones in Toronto. It would be Bryan Adams in Game 1 and, goodness gracious, Buffy St. Marie in Game 2. Oh, yeah, this will be definitely a challenge here, Brad, how much the Cardinals can manufacture. They're just not going to get a break. Pitch to McGee. Willie into right field. Marshall coming in, and there is 2 out. So here's Tommy Herr. You can't steal first. You know what? This Cardinal team reminds me of the mid-'60s Dodger teams. Fernando obviously is the ace, but Hershiser's 120. There's just is no easy spot. That's true. Don Denkinger was sent to the Angel Hernandez all-inclusive resort in the Azores. Pitch to her, popped up left side, Madlock, and Bill reaches in the dugout, can't get there. if there is a saving grace for the Cardinals, it is that the Dodgers are not a great defensive team. Now, I don't expect them to cough the ball all over the field like the Angels have in the first 2 games of the American League Championship Series, but something to keep an eye on as we move through. The 0-2 from Fernando. Struck him out. That's going to be a common refrain this week. Fernando got him to swing and miss on the Scroogey. No runs, no hits, no errors. Larry King clapping loud. Half an inning in the books, no score. So here's how the Dodgers will line up against the lefty. Mariano Duncan leads off at short. Candy Maldonado in center will bat second. Mike Marshall in right will bat third. Pedro Guerrero in left will clean up, and he is key if the Dodgers are going to produce runs. He's got to get extra base hits. I think one of the biggest acquisitions they made was for this man right here, Bill Badlock at third. He will bat fifth. Greg Brock at first will go sixth. These are all right-handed hitters until coming up. Steve Sachs at second will bat seventh. Mike Scioscia is going to catch no matter what. He will bat eighth. And Fernando Valenzuela, not a bad hitter in his own right for a pitcher, will bat ninth. John Tudor is 31 years old. He is a fastball pitcher. He never won a Cy Young in real life. A ground ball plus pitcher, and that fastball tops out at 85. He made 3 starts against the Dodgers. Think these numbers are impressive? 24 innings, 12 hits, 2 runs, both earned, 6 walks, 11 strikeouts, so 2-0 against LA with an earned run average of .75. You want to know who the team that gave him the roughest time? The Phillies. And a .487 ERA. He hasn't pitched since the 5th, a 4-hit shutout of the Cubs. That's just what he needed. So overall, Tudor would become the answer of a trivia question. He threw over 300 innings. The last one to do it in real life was Steve Carlton in 1980. 301 in the 3rd innings, 214 hits, 67 runs, 59 earned. He allowed 14 homers. He walked 53, struck out 180, and his 1.76 ERA goes very nicely with his 28-5 record. On the replay, he completed 25 starts and threw 11 shutouts. Even Bob Gibson's impressed. Defensively for St. Louis, Vince Coleman a 5 and an 8 in left. Willie McGee an 8 and a 7 in center. Tito Landrum gets the call on right. He's a 4 and a 4. Van Slyke will face righties. Pendleton is a 9 at third. Ozzie Smith a 9 at short. Tommy Herr a 5 at second. Jack Clark will play this whole series. He's a 6 at first. Tom Nieto a 5 and a 7 behind the plate. Tudor is a 7 on the mound with a .955 fielding percentage. They play back on Duncan. 244, 6 homers, 39 RBI on the real year. Struck him out. A 1-2 fastball swung on and missed. So here's Maldonado. 225, 5 homers, and 19 RBI. Popped up. The Wizard. Airy going on the grass. 2 out. For Mike Marshall, 293, 28 homers, and 95 RBI in 85. Tudor winds and deals. Struck him out. Got him to swing and miss, and that will retire the side. Surprise, surprise. No runs, no hits, no errors. We go to the second. No score. So here's Clark. Missed a lot of time in September, but the Cardinals are not going to put Mike Jorgensen out there unless the San Pedro Beach Bums open up the San Andreas Fault. Clark at 281, 22 homers, 87 RBI. Line drive, and that's the first base runner of the ball game. Candy couldn't get there. And that'll bring up Pendleton, 240, 5 homers, and 69 RBI. 70 degrees, the wind blowing in from left at 7. Left field, Guerrero in the corner. Makes the catch. Clark goes back to first. Thank you, my friend. And we'll get that up for tomorrow's game, too. Ozzie Smith, 276, 6 homers, and 54 RBI. Joaquin Andujar and Oral Hershiser tomorrow. That would be the Oscar Madison and Felix Unger matchup, don't you think? An odd couple. Pitch to Ozzie. Fly ball to right. Marshall makes the catch. Clark goes back to first. Here's Landrum, 280, 4 homers, and 21 RBI. Two of the more colorful managers, of course, in this series. Whitey Herzog in the Cardinal dugout. Tommy Lasorda in the Dodger dugout. Lasorda, 106 wins. Pitch to Landrum. Fly ball, right center field. In comes Maldonado riding a Schwinn, and that will retire the side. No runs, 1 hit, no errors. Cardinals leave a runner on, bottom 2. Just as we expected, a pitcher's duel, no score. So, the heart of the Dodger offense is right here. Guerrero in 85, 320, 33 homers, and 87 RBI. On the replay, he played more. He played in 154 games. He hit 293, but 29 homers, but drove in just 78. But remember, how you doing, DJ John? Remember, the Dodgers really haven't played a meaningful game in about a month. Pitch to Guerrero. Ground ball to third. Pendleton over to first. 1 out. So the Dodger contingent is strong. CC Pedro. So here's Matlock with the Dodgers in real life, 360. 2 homers and 15 RBI. Tudor winds and deals. Matlock pops it up. Right field, Clark on the grass. 2 out. For Greg Brock, again, only... Pedro liked him very much, but he know how Pedro hit curveball. Brock 251 in the real year into right field, and somebody from Beverly Hills made that catch. Brock 252, 19 homers, and 61 RBI. On the replay, Tudor's 0-2. Ground ball up the middle. Hurst stabs it by the bag over to first, and it's 6 up, 6 down. No runs, no hits, no errors. We go to the third here in L.A. No score. And so as Tom Nieto tries to dig in against Fernando Valenzuela, the Toronto Blue Jays and California Angels are waiting for their respective charters at Lester Pearson Airport in Toronto. The Angels did not play well in Toronto. It is 2-0 Jays following their 7-4 win today. George Bell is having a good time. Pitch to Nieto. Tom's line drive to Duncan, 1 out. So here's Tudor. 138, no homers and 2 RBI. Struck him out. He got him on the cutter, swung on and missed. 2 out. So here's Coleman. He's 0 for 1. 267, 10 triples, and 40 RBI, because I forgot to read it. In real life, he stole 110. On the replay, he stole only 94. But with that number, that's like saying, I only got a medium filet mignon instead of the large. So the 2 outs, Fernando winds and deals into right field. Marshall won't even have to move, and that will retire the side. No runs, yes, slacker indeed. No runs, no hits, no errors. Bottom of the third, it's the Cardinals nothing, the Dodgers nothing. So Sachs, Scioscia, and Fernando to face Tudor here in the third. Steve on the real season, 279, a homer, and 42 RBI. Ball 4, and the Dodgers finally have a base runner. Tudor whacked him with a 3-1 fastball low and inside. So here's Scioscia. Again, no one's going to have great hitting numbers tonight. 296 on the real season, 7 homers, 53 RBI. And they're going to hit and run. Throw goes to second, and Sachs is out. So Scioscia wasn't sure if I'd sacrifice or hit and run. It was a 6 hit and run, and it didn't work. So the count is now 2 balls and a strike. Scioscia forgot he had to swing. Mike looks over and asks Tommy if he's okay. Tommy says, you swing when I tell you to swing. Pitch to Scioscia. He swings into shallow right center. McGee rides the Schwinn for the out. McGee with a diving catch on the grass, and there's 2 away. So here's Fernando. Valenzuela, 216, a homer, and 7 RBI. And if you look at that 238 outcome percentage box, I think it's the highest I've seen of all the hitters. Ground ball to Ozzie. Smith over to first. Fernando running, and he is out on a bang-banger. So the Dodgers get a base runner and get him thrown out. No runs, no hits, no errors. We go to the 4th. No score. So McGee, in real life, 353, 18 triples and 10 homers. Again, speed, but they got to get on. You can't steal first base. To third, Bedlock gets up the glove, 1 out. Here's Tommy Herr. Tommy, I think Brad would agree with this, is the last player in Major League Baseball to hit less than 10 homers and drive in more than 100 runs. He drove in 110 in 85 while only smacking 8 dingers. He only drove in 90 on the replay and only hit 4 homers. But he hit 4 points higher. The Dodgers apparently can't steal second either. It's be one of these games that someone's going to have to make the mistake, you would think. Fernando, by the way, is opening 10 batters on 35 pitches. 3 1/3, a hit, and 2 strikeouts. Herr with a liner up the middle. Maldonado gets it. Duncan with a poor play, and let's see what the Cardinals do. Herr has good speed. Clark has the other hit in this ball game. He singled. Fernando throws to first, and Herr is back. And at some point in this ball game, Fernando Valenzuela will make eye contact with all 55,000 here at Dodger Stadium. Clark down the line and left. Howe might score from first. Guerrero picks it up. Madlock with a bad play. The throw to second, and Clark has a double. Now Howe will hold at third. For Terry Pendleton is 0 for 1. Tommy rocking back and forth in that Dodger dugout. 1 out. Top the fourth, no score. Fernando rocks and deals. Gets away from Socha, and Howe will score. Jack Clark moves up on the wild pitch, and that's the first run of the ball game. John Goodell, he was as good as Louis Tiant at making eye contact with all the fans. Absolutely. Lasorda kind of let one rip there, and everyone in the Dodger dugout moves 10 feet away themselves. So Clark on third, 1 out for Pendleton. And he walked him, which does set up the double play for Ozzie Smith, who was 0 for 1. Game 2, tomorrow noon Eastern. Joaquin Andujar, Oral Hershiser. There goes Pendleton, and that's how you do a hit and run. Clark will score. Pendleton will go to third, I would imagine. They're going to try for him. Marshall has a good arm out there. The throw to third is going to be not in time. Smith goes for second. Madlock got him. So Ozzie Smith went on his own. Pendleton took third. Madlock cut it off, flung it over to Saxon. That's a big out. So the run will score. It's 2-0 St. Louis, but they get Ozzie trying to take that extra base at second. So that brings up Landrum, who's 0 for 1. Fernando deals. Popped up. Left side. Madlock in foul territory, and that one is out of play. So the count now is 2-2. Fernando, in case you're wondering, can throw up to 145 pitches. Yeah, I think he's the last one to do it. Under 10 homers and 100 RBI. Pendleton dances off at third. Landrum in the shallow left. Guerrero coming in, rides a Schwinn. And that will retire the side. Cardinals get 2 runs on 3 hits and no errors. We go to the bottom of the fourth, 2-0 St. Louis. Paul Molitor was the last one to do it in 96. Okay. Well, if you haven't caught any of our American League Championship Series, these are the final standings. The Dodgers, 106 wins. They won by 19. The Cardinals, almost 100-game winners. 12.5 over Montreal. California won the West by 5. And Toronto, 99-62. They beat the Yankees by 7, and they're halfway to the World Series. Duncan struck out to start the ballgame. Tudor starts the fourth with a chopper up the middle. Smith, Clark, throws it away, and Duncan is safe on the air. And wouldn't you know it, the first boo-boo in the field belongs to Ozzie Smith. So here's Maldonado 0 for 1. In 96, who was Molitor with? Was he still with the Twins? Hit 9 homers and drove in 113. Maldonado, slow ground ball to her. Ozzie for 1. No throw to first, so it's 4-6 on the fielder's choice. For Mike Marshall, who struck out his first time up. Again, a gorgeous night here in LA. 67 degrees, winds blowing in from left to 3. Marshall to third. Pendleton. Tommy Herr for 1 over to Clark. No, sir. It's a double play. They go around the horn, and that's it. No runs, no hits, or 1 error. After 4, 2-0 Cardinals. Yeah, the Twins. Yeah, he left the Jays. He got the rings in Toronto. Here's Tom Nieto. He's 0 for 1. Fernando's pitch. Ground ball to third. Madlock. Hard throw to first. 1 out. Tudor struck out his first time up. Little chopper to Duncan, and Mariano can't play it. So Tudor reaches on an error. Both teams have one. That brings up Coleman, who's 0 for 2. Fernando's opening 18, 61 pitches, 4 1/3 innings, 4 hits. Both the runs are earned. He walked 1 and struck out 2. Coleman struck him out. In there at the knees with a rainbow curve, 2 out. For McGee, who is 0 for 2. Gets away from Scioscia, and Tudor moves to second. So Fernando misses with a screwball low and away, and that got away from Scioscia. And a 1-ball count. McGee hits a home run to right field. That will score Tudor. McGee, who, as we said, has some power, powered that one down the line and right, and it's 4-0 St. Louis. They have to wake up Larry King. Mary Hart fidgeting in her seat. Tommy Herr 1 for 2, a run scored and a strikeout. The most RBI by a guy with less than 10 homers in the last 10 years? Well, Boston's own Dustin Pedroia. So Fernando trying to collect himself on the mound here. 2 outs in the top of the 5th, but down 4-0. Chopper over the mound. Duncan on the grass. Has to hurry. Herr is out. And that will retire the side. But the error is costly, and so is that wild pitch, as Willie McGee, not Janis Joplin's best friend, no sir, hits a 2-run homer, and halfway home in Game 1, it's 4-0 St. Louis. I lost my mouse. I still lost my mouse. Oh, I found it. Oh, if you joined us late, here's how we got here. It was scoreless through the first 3. In the 4th, Tommy Herr scored on a wild pitch by Fernando to make it 1-0 St. Louis. And Ozzie Smith, a 2-run single to score Jack Clark to make it 2-0. Yeah, midlife crisis. Hopefully the air is better where you are than it was this afternoon. Then Willie McGee, a 2-run homer to make it 4-0. So in these battle of the aces, Fernando, 5-hitter, 2 earned runs, walked 1 and struck out 3, but that home run hurts. John Tudor, it's Bagel City for John. He's walked 1 and struck out 2 in 4 innings. And that was the case. Fernando has 2 wild pitches. An unexpected power from Willie McGee. Somewhere in Michigan, Kirk Gibson's watching going, I'll spot you that. Here's Pedro Guerrero. He is 0 for 1. Tudor starts the 5th. Ground ball to 3rd. Pendleton comes in, throws to 1st. 1 out. Madlock is 0 for 1. Tudor winds and deals. Line drive to Ozzie. He leaps and robs Madlock of a hit. The error for the Cardinals, by the way, of course it is. Ozzie Smith. Here's Greg Brock. He's 0 for 1. Struck him out. That's 3 for Tudor in his first since the first. No runs, no hits, no errors. We go to the 6th, 4-0 St. Louis. So here's Jack Clark. Jack has singled, doubled, and scored a run. Popped up Sosha. 1 out. Right up against the screen. Dodger fans are chewing their nails. They've been awful quiet. Here's Pendleton, 0 for 1 with a walk. Fernando's pitch. He'll lace that one in the left center field. Maldonado will pick it up. And St. Louis has another hit. 6 hits in this one for St. Louis. 4 runs, 1 error, and they've left on 2. The Wizard is 1 for 2. Ozzie has singled and driven in a run. There goes Pendleton to throw down to Sachs. Stolen base. Again, Big 8 wishbone is what St. Louis does on the ground. And the count is a ball and no strikes to Ozzie Smith. Base hit up the middle. Maldonado will grab it. Pendleton will round 3rd. Duncan again. Their defense is hurt. Here comes Pendleton, and the throw is not in time. It's 5-0 St. Louis. And Dodger Stadium is absolutely stunned. Speed kills. Landrum is 0 for 2. When do you take out Fernando? He has 65 pitches to go. And it really doesn't matter who you're throwing out there if you can't get a hit off a Tudor. Here's the pitch to Landrum. Here's a ground ball to short. Duncan should get nobody. He won't even make a throw. Whenever the clubhouse buffet is laid out. So Fernando looks over at short and has a choice word or two in a language that Mariano Duncan really doesn't understand. How Fernando has learned to swear in Russian, I'm not quite sure. But Mr. Valenzuela, how you doing, Matt, is not a happy camper. 1 out in the top of the 6th, and it was now a 5-0 St. Louis lead. Nieto is 0 for 2. Hopped up. Sosha. Don't think he'll grab this one. That's out of play. And the count is 0-2. Fernando wants a ground ball. Gets away from Sosha. And that's the 3rd, is it? Let's make sure. The 3rd wild pitch from Fernando today. And that takes care of the double play. And a 1-2 count. Fans will be hitting the freeway early tonight. Pitch to Nieto. Struck him out. That's 4. And of course you're going to let him pitch to Tudor. Fernando will bat 3rd in the 6th. Tudor's 0 for 2. Fly ball center field. Maldonado will make the catch, and that will retire the side. That one run was big. They manufactured it. 3 hits and no errors. We go to the bottom of the 6th. It's 5-0 St. Louis. Sachs walked his first time up, the first base runner that the Dodgers had. In the right center, McGee, 1 out. And McGee with another diving catch out there. So McGee with a 2-run homer and enough grass stains to make his mom proud. Here's Socha. He's 0 for 1, and they will pinch hit for Fernando. To third, Pendleton across the way, 2 out. And so Tommy's going, who can hit a lefty? And it's going to be Enos Cabell. Cabell hit 300 as a pinch hitter with the Dodgers. In his short time with LA, he hit 292 with 22 RBI. 2 out in the 6th. And John Tudor is channeling his inner Rembrandt here this evening at Dodger Stadium. He winds and deals. Chopper to third. Pendleton across the way. And you'll see the graphic in a moment. No, there's no graphic for it. Well, I'm not going to spoil it for you. After 6, 5-0 St. Louis. Don't go anywhere. So who do you go with? You go with Howe or... There are 5 switch hitters in that Cardinal lineup, and they're all going to flip around in about 2 seconds. Ken Howe is 25 years old. He's a fastball pitcher at 95 and a standard pitcher. 5 appearances against the Cardinals, 7 innings, 8 hits, 6 runs, 6 earned. He walked 3, struck out 9, 0-2 with a 7.71 ERA. Randomly picked that one, sorry. Pitched against the Reds on Sunday. Faced 1 batter. Overall, 67 2/3, 61 hits, 44 runs, 37 earned, 9 homers, 27 walks, 75 strikeouts. 3-11 with 7 saves, and an earned run average of 492. Coleman is 0 for 3 as we start the 7th. He has struck out once. Chopper to second. Sachs to Brock, 1 out. So Fernando goes to the shower. Here's Willie McGee. His 2-run homer in the 5th looms mighty large. Howell winds and deals, and McGee draws the walk. And let's see if St. Louis continues to run. Here's Tommy Herr. He's 1 for 3. He has singled, scored a run, and struck out. Throw to first, and McGee is back. This is not, by the way, if you're familiar with Retro Sports Network, the first time the Cardinals and the Dodgers have locked up in a quote-unquote playoff series. Well, actually, take off the quote-unquote there. They met in a playoff series. Last year, they met in a 3-game set to determine the 49 NL champion. My producer tells me from 1981 to 1990, no National League pitcher had more wild pitches than Fernando, and he averaged 9.4 a year. Tonight, he had 3. McGee stays, nope. What is this, is it a balk? And Ken Howell balked. How do you produce runs? You scare the pitcher so much you force him into a balk. that post-game spread is going to be all over the place. I can't imagine Mr. Lasorda is going to be happy. Struck him out. Got him to swing and miss on a hard fastball. 2 out for Clark. Jack 2 for 3. He has singled, doubled, and scored a run. There goes McGee, and they'll give him third. No, Howe balked again. Somewhere, somehow, Tommy Lasorda is reaching into his bag of tricks and finding Earl Weaver's Chesterfields. Goodness gracious, Buffy St. Marie. You could never have imagined this. 3 wild pitches by Fernando and 2 balks by Howell. McGee on third. Struck him out. Stretch time 5-0. People wonder why Fernando didn't have a better career, and we're talking about the decade where pitch counts and batters faced really starting to matter, because Tommy just ran him right in the ground. He led all pitchers in batters faced from 1981 to 1987. Dodger fans want to comment on that? 81 you could understand. He was the hot hand Fernando Mania. But he pitched until what, 96, 97? I know he did some time with Baltimore and San Diego. Duncan, by the way, 0 for 2 with a strikeout. And there goes the no-hitter. Punches into left field, and the Dodgers have their first hit of the series. So 1 on for Maldonado, and I'm not going to hit and run here. Andy is 0 for 2. Tudor walked him. There is life at Dodger Stadium yet. Don't be finding the freeway. Here's Mike Marshall. Mike is 0 for 2 with a strikeout. John says he was the ace of the Phillies for 1 year. So Duncan on second, Maldonado on first. The Dodgers trying to break through on John Tudor. His post-87 career ERA plus was 90, which is 10% below league average. Schilling was the ace when he wasn't hurt. Yep, there's a big old donut in Curt Schilling's career. Pitched, so Nieto goes out to calm Tudor down. From the stretch, struck him out. That's 4 for John. He got him to chase an 0-2 fastball. So here's Guerrero. He can make this a game with 1 swing of the bat. He is 0 for 2. They've woken up Larry King. Pitch to Guerrero. Chopper to short. Ozzie. Her for 1. Over to first. Tudor gets a double play. We go to the 8th. 5-0 St. Louis. So here's Howell out for his second inning. Pendleton 1 for 2. A stolen base, a walk, and a run scored. Terry to second. Sacks. 1 out. Ozzie Smith 2 for 3. Ozzie has singled twice and driven in 2. If they don't need to use Niedenfuhr tonight, you'd rather not. And you hope you can get a longer performance from Oral Hershiser tomorrow. Technically a day game. one of those noon starts out in L.A. Pitch to Ozzie. There's a liner in the right center, so Ozzie is 3 for 4. Marshall will pick it up. That'll bring up Landrum. 85 was Tudor's first year in St. Louis, being traded in exchange for the immortal George Hendrick. Ha ha! St. Louis did do okay with that. Got him from the Pittsburgh Pirates. By the way, don't tell Todd B this because he's not able to watch these live. But the Angels do have Hendrick on their active roster. Mike Jorgensen to pinch hit. Yep. 196 and 11 RBIs. A pinch hitter in the regular season, 154 and 2 RBI. Cardinals go to their bench, 1 out here in the 8th with a 5-run lead. Jorgensen strikes out. Brings up Nieto, who's 0 for 3. Wonder if they'll bring in Darryl Porter. 2 out. Nieto stays. Struck him out. So Howe struck out 4. He balked twice, but he struck out 4. No runs, 1 hit, no errors. Cardinals have left on 6. We go to the bottom of the 8th, 5-0 St. Louis. So Madlock, Brock, and Sachs scheduled. Madlock might actually get a hit here. He does, in the right field. Van Slyke is in the game, and right, he is a 4 and a 9, and will bat in the 7 hole. So Brock will get pinch hit 4. Didn't say Hendrick was going to play a big role. I'm just saying that he's there. So who can hit a lefty? Bob Baylor. 246, no homers and 7 RBI. It's not like Hendrick did get 2 World Series rings. 82 in St. Louis. And what was the other one? Trust me, the Angels, the first 2 games, Hendrick's been the least of their problems. Oh, 72 Oakland. Wow. So the pitch to Baylor. Bob up the middle. Tudor. Her for 1. Clark for 2. By the way, that's how you win 28 games. Here's Sachs. He's 0 for 1. Wow. Popped up. Ozzie Smith will make the catch to retire the side. So we go to the 9th. No runs, a hit, no errors. 5-0 St. Louis. So you got to wonder, as I try to find a first baseman, Len Matuzik will do the honors. He's a 5. And we're going to go with Carlos Diaz. Carlos, 7-2 on the replay with a 1.63 ERA. 27 years old, a fastball pitcher at 91 and a ground ball pitcher. Against the Cardinals, 5 appearances, 6 innings, 3 hits, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts. 60 2/3 on the replay, 41 hits, 12 runs, 11 earned, 2 homers, 14 walks, 58 strikeouts, 7-2 with a 1.63 ERA. You kind of wonder, if you're the Dodgers, if this is going to be like a preview of the 86 NLCS. Remember, the Mets could not beat Mike Scott. And if that series had gone 7 games, they weren't going to beat Mike Scott. But the Mets won every game that Scott didn't pitch. And I think John Tudor is in that rarefied air as a 28-game winner. You've got to figure out how to beat everyone else, because Tudor has been exceptional tonight. He is 0 for 3. He has walked and struck out. He stays in the game, obviously, and just, watches 6 pitches or 7 pitches. So 1 out for Coleman, who is 0 for 4 with a strikeout. To third, Madlock across the way. Matusic's a 5-2 out. Sosha, pitcher spot, Duncan. Here's McGee. Willie 1 for 3. Homered. 2 great defensive plays, 2 RBI, and if it wasn't for Tudor throwing the 2-hitter. In the center, Maldonado makes the catch, and that will retire the side. John Tudor is throwing a 2-hitter as we go to the bottom of the 9th. The Dodgers need 5 to tie, 6 to win. Sosha is 0 for 2. To Ozzie Smith, over to Clark, 1 out. So here is Bill Russell. Bill, as a pinch hitter on the replay, drove in 4, hit 167 on the real season, 260, no homers, and 13 RBI. These two teams at noon tomorrow. In 3 games in this postseason, the Southern California teams have scored 5 runs. Popped up, Nieto to the screen. Can't get it, 0-2. Tudor's pitch. In the left, that's hooking foul. Coleman. But Frank Sinatra made that catch. So the count remains 0-2. 1 out. Bottom of the 9th. And Russell draws the walk. So that'll bring up Duncan. 27 batters deep for Tudor. 121 pitches. 8 1/3. 2 hits. 3 walks and 4 strikeouts. Duncan is 1 for 3 with a strikeout. Russell leads off at first. Chopper foul, third base side. I did not expect the Cardinals to explode for 5. I honestly thought this was going to be like a 2-1 affair. Russell stays put. Struck him out. That's 5 for Tudor. He got him to swing and miss on a 1-2 fastball. And they'll look. I can't imagine that Landreau would be any better than Maldonado, do you? There are nights you just got to tip your hat. And if you're wearing one, tip it towards the man on the mound, John Tudor. From the stretch. Ground ball foul, third base side. One and 2 the count. They'll let Russell steal the base. No! The pitch was a strike, and he struck him out, and the ball game is over. So John Tudor, 2 hits the Dodgers in Game 1. And you bet ouch. You bet he's a digital dice player of the game. It's like taking candy from a baby. You can't do much better. His game score was 86, 9 innings, 2 hits. He walked 3. The Dodgers tried to manufacture something early. They couldn't do it. But Tudor handcuffed him like You were secretly shopping in a Fredericks of Hollywood catalog. My goodness. So John Tudor makes a statement. A 2-hit shutout, and the Cardinals go up 1-0. Fernando, not a great outing. 6 innings, 8 hits, 5 runs, 3 earned. Willie McGee, a 2-run homer, but that really didn't matter. Howe and Diaz pitched fine. So 5 runs. Who is Frederick and what is he doing in Hollywood? Inquiring minds want to know. When we go to the OnlyFans portion of the broadcast, I'll tell you to Google it. That was the original Bad Boy catalog before Victoria's Secret. You'll look into it. 5 runs, 9 hits, an error for St. Louis. They left on 6. The Dodgers, no runs, 2 hits, and an error, and they left on 2. Well, you wouldn't learn that on a Fortnite stream. Think Victoria's Secret with chips and dips and whips. Fernando threw 3 wild pitches, and Ken Howe balked twice. And so we will see you tomorrow afternoon as Joaquin Andujar goes against Oral Hershiser as this series moves to Game 2. But for now, after one game, the Cardinals get everything you possibly could get out of John Tudor and a lot more. They win Game 1 5-0, and we'll see you tomorrow at noon for Game 2 of the series. Just a singleton tomorrow and Friday, and a doubleheader for you Saturday. Until then, thanks so much for watching. I'm Ron Juckett. We'll talk to you tomorrow. See if the Dodgers can even this up. For now, good night, everybody.